Well, you all are having so much fun that I hate to put a damper on it. Good morning. Welcome to the worship of God at First Baptist Church on this Easter Sunday. You didn't think Easter would get here, did you? Lent lingers on, Holy Week lasts forever, but Easter, against all odds, always shows up. And so do you. We're glad that each and every one of you are here. If you're a guest and you would do so, please fill out the welcome card, the visitor's card that you find in the pew rack in front of you. Drop it in the offering plate as it comes by, and that'll help us connect with you in whatever way you select. I'm going to make just a few announcements here from the inside of the order of worship. The first one, the most important one perhaps, other than worship on Easter Sunday, is the Easter egg hunt that follows this service. That will happen on the front lawn of the church, which is out here. So anybody that's participating in that, I'll ask that you go out that back door where the choir is standing right now, down the steps, and line up at the outside door that you'll see on your left-hand side there. That's where the Easter egg hunt will start. And Bridget Myers, God bless her, will be there to help with that and all she can do. Other announcements, you'll notice that tomorrow, for Easter Monday, the church office is closed. That'll be the day that me and the church staff don't get up before 1 p.m. So if you call, just give us a little time. And also the Brotherhood and Cordell's Big Party, as we like to call it, is happening tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Then skip all the way to the bottom and you'll see this box. I have to announce this today because it's the only chance I'll get before it happens. CBF of Kentucky's Spring Gathering is happening next weekend. Christy and I are preaching. Beth Parker and some of the choir are singing. It's at First Baptist Church in Corbin, and you're all welcome to be there. So you can read more about that. That'll be next weekend. As I said, we're glad you're here today. We're glad you're here to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord. And now I think I'll invite you to resurrect yourselves in the spirit of Easter, as in get up and say hello to those around you.
God, our rock and our salvation, we greet you this morning with shouts of alleluia and hymns of praise. We're grateful it's finally Easter morning. Because of your great love, we've experienced your victory over death. Be here in this sanctuary. Hear our voices and our unspoken prayers. Christ is risen. Alleluia. We have a joy that only comes from you. Amen. Let's read together from your bulletin our litany of invitation and celebration. Beloved church, behold the good news of the gospel. Jesus Christ, our Lord, has conquered the grave.
Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed.
Sin and death shall reign no more.
Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed.
Let this sanctuary sing for joy.
Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Thanks be to God.
Beloved church, hear the good news of the gospel. The God who raised Jesus from the dead has not given us over to death or half-full lives. In the name of Jesus Christ, we are forgiven, we are emboldened, and we are being redeemed. Let us lift our voices in thanks and praise to God. Seated.
The psalmist celebrates God's persistent and God's persistent goodness. A reading from the book of the Psalms. Give thanks to the Lord, because he is good, because his faithful love lasts forever. Let Israel say, God's faithful love lasts forever. The Lord was my strength and my protection. He was my saving help. The sounds of joyful songs and deliverance are heard in the tents of the righteous. The Lord's strong hand is victorious. The Lord's strong hand is ready to strike. The Lord's strong hand is victorious. I won't die. No, I will live and declare what the Lord has done. Yes, the Lord definitely disciplined me, but he didn't hand me over to death. Open the gates of righteousness for me, so I can come in and give thanks to the Lord. This is the Lord's gate. Those who are righteous enter through it. I thank you because you answered me, because you were my saving help. The stone that the builders rejected is now the main foundation stone. This has happened because the Lord, it is astounding in our sight. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be oh so glad in it. Here ends the first lesson. If you would, ready your heart, ready your mind and your soul to pray with me this morning.
Of
All-loving God, it is so good to be here on Easter Sunday. It is so good to rest in this place and rest in the hope of an empty tomb. God, we pray this morning that all those cares and concerns, all those burdens and things that weigh on our hearts, that you will hold them for just a little while, that we might raise our voices, that we might open our minds, that we might open our hearts to worship you like Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, did on this morning many, many years ago. God, be in this place with us. Hold us as we worship. Remind each and every one of us that it is you, not we, who do the heavy lifting on Easter Sunday morning. God, it is our practice here, and I say practice because prayer is learned. It is our practice here that when we gather and we gather our voices, and we join them into one bold voice, and we pray the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples to pray. We do that now, God, asking you to again teach us to pray as we do so in unison. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Come on down. Good morning. There, I'll move that out of the way. You can sit next to me. Make me feel loved. Good morning, everybody. Wait. Let's try that again. I think you all might be a little sleepy this morning. Good morning. Oh, phew. I was worried for a second. All right. Well, you all look very nice today. I see everybody put on their Sunday best because today is a special day. I don't know if you'd figured that out or not yet, but it's a pretty important day, isn't it? Yes. So how many of you like mysteries? Do you guys ever like to play detective? I know I did when I was your age and sometimes still do. I love reading mysteries because you've got to follow the clues, right? And then you reach the answer to the puzzle. Well, we've been following some clues for the last several weeks here at First Baptist Church, right? We've gone through this time called Lent, and we read these Bible stories where Jesus was teaching his disciples, and he kept leaving them little clues along the way of who he was and what God's plan was. But I don't think the disciples were very good detectives. They seemed to get really confused. But I brought some of those clues today. Will you open that egg, Madison, and see what's inside? Oh, what is that? It's a leaf. It's part of a palm. What might this be a clue about? It might be a clue about a tree, yes. Did we celebrate anything maybe like a week ago with Palm Sunday? Yes, you guys are really good detectives. So just a week ago, we waved palm branches and we celebrated Jesus coming into Jerusalem, and everybody was really happy and excited because they thought Jesus was going to overthrow Rome and life was going to be great. Well, did that excitement last very long? No. How about you open that egg for me, see what our clue is in there. What is that? Anybody have a guess? There's a cross on there. This is kind of a strange one. Can you all see that? What could this be? If you were to taste it, it would taste a little like bread. Only a little, if we're being honest. What might this represent? Yeah.
It may represent Jesus going on the cross.
It very well might. Excellent job, Logan. Yes, on Maundy, Thursday, we all got together again and we took communion and we passed out bread because we remembered Jesus' last time with his disciples where he told them that he was going away, but that it was going to be okay, that he was going to do something because he loved them so very much, and that bread is a clue about that. Do you want to open this one for me? What do we have there? A cross. What is that a clue about? Yeah, on Good Friday, right? We gathered, and it was kind of a sad day. We remembered that Jesus died on the cross. And the disciples were really sad about that. And it was a sad time because it seemed like maybe the story had ended. It was a sad time. But then, you want to open that one for me? What's in there? Nothing. It's empty. What is that a clue about? Was the story over on Good Friday? No. We get to come together this morning and celebrate that Jesus is alive. And he died on the cross because he loved us so very much so that our mistakes and times that we mess up can be forgiven. And so that empty egg is the biggest clue of all, that today is a day of celebrating and rejoicing because the tomb was empty and Jesus is alive. So sometimes we have to look extra hard for clues that Jesus is alive, right? The disciples did. They didn't recognize him at first, but then they started to piece together the clues. So for the rest of the day today, I want you all to be resurrection detectives. So I've got some questions that you can, here, if you want to take one and pass them out, that you can be thinking about and looking around for during the rest of our service, because there are clues everywhere that Jesus is alive. So you can do things like count how many times we say Alleluia or Hallelujah, or sing it. It's going to be a lot. Or you can tell us what color you see a lot of in the sanctuary and what that might mean. Or you can take a deep breath and smell something really pretty. And maybe that's a clue that Jesus is alive. And then we're going to go outside and see all around us signs that Jesus is alive. And you're going to have an egg hunt, and you're going to be with friends and family. And so I've asked on here for you to borrow your mom or dad or grandparents' camera and take a picture of something that reminds you that Jesus is alive. So can you do that? Can we be resurrection detectives and remember all through this week for all the signs that point us that Jesus is alive, and that is good news and worth celebrating? Okay? Let's pray. God, we thank you so much for your love and for all the ways you leave us little hints and clues that remind us that you are right there with us every moment of every day. So God, may we be really good detectives and have our eyes opened for the clues that remind us that we love and serve a living God, and that you are alive and at work all around us and in us. And for that, we thank you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Matthew tells the story of Jesus' resurrection. A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to look at the tomb. Look, there was a great earthquake, for an angel from the Lord came down from heaven. Coming to the stone, he rolled it away and sat on it. Now his face was like lightning, and his clothes as white as snow. The guards were so terrified of him that they shook with fear and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Don't be afraid. I know you were looking for Jesus who was crucified. He isn't here, because he's been raised from the dead, just as he said. Come see the place where they laid him. Now hurry, go and tell the disciples, he's been raised from the dead. He's going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. I've given a message to you." With great fear and excitement, they hurried away from the tomb and ran to tell his disciples. But Jesus met them there and greeted them. They came, they grabbed his feet and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Don't be afraid. Go and tell my brothers that I am in Galilee, and they will see me there." Here ends the gospel lesson. And our hymn of stewardship today is number 214, The Day of Resurrection. We'll stand together as we sing.
Us
Let us pray. Dear God in heaven, thank you so much for sending your precious Son to die for us so that we may have eternal life. Thank you for the resurrection that gives us hope. Thank you, Lord, for everything you've given us. And in our abundance, let us give back so that we may show the hope and the love and the joy to others. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hallelujah. For the kids who are keeping count, there's 2 more, as well as all those that were just sung. I hope you haven't lost count. There will be a test later. Hallelujah. We're glad that you're here today, and we're glad to have brass and handbells and choir and organ and piano and voices on Easter to celebrate Christ is risen. Now, each Easter, I try to take the time or make the time to reread a book that I like very much. That book is not one of those heady books that I usually talk about up here. No, it's a book by C.S. Lewis. You know C.S. Lewis. You've heard of C.S. Lewis before. And I'm not really thinking of Mere Christianity or Surprised by Joy or anything like that. I'm actually thinking of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Now, why in the world would I read that story at Easter? Well, I guess if you know that story, you already know the answer to that question, don't you? I try to make the time every year, somewhere in the season of Eastertide, somewhere in the 50 days of Easter that are ahead of us, to reread The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Of course, they've made a movie now that you could watch too, but trust me, the movie is not as good as the book. I don't say that very often, but in this case, it's true. All that to say, C.S. Lewis might be the most familiar Christian figure of the latter half of the 20th century. And while he is familiar as a Christian writer, C.S. Lewis was actually a literary scholar. He was a professor of literature at Oxford and then at Cambridge universities. And it was in his time at those 2 places that he got involved in a group of literary scholars. Bonus points if you're anybody but Jonathan Mike and you know the answer to this question. What was the name of that group? All right, well, it's the Inklings. The Inklings. Jonathan would have known that. He would have said that had I let him. But the Inklings was the name of that group. And in that group was C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings, and a lot of other people too. G.K. Chesterton was a visiting member of that group, kind of Lewis's mentor. And anyway, this group met and they talked and they shared. And Lewis and Tolkien's friendship grew because they shared in this group. Tolkien hated allegory, is what they say. Tolkien didn't like allegory at all. You know, allegory takes a story and retells it as in other words. So he wrote The Lord of the Rings, and he plugged different themes into it from the Christian story, but it doesn't track the same plot line. Lewis, on the other hand, loved allegory. He loved it. And he wrote the Chronicles of Narnia almost exactly with the plot lines of the Scripture. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe tells that part of the Christian story that lines up with Holy Week, that lines up with Eastertide. Each Easter, I try to reread that story. If you get nothing else from this sermon today, I just gave you homework. Yep, homework happens sometimes at church. Your homework is to go reread that story that you probably haven't read since you were in elementary school. It doesn't take very long, and it's worth your time. It is a great story. It is a story about Narnia. Narnia, this magical place that's in the other side of a wardrobe. Lord knows if you wandered around this building, Annie, you might find that wardrobe here. I don't know. There's a lot of rooms. There's a lot of furniture. After service, if you want to wander, but try to be out by 1 when we lock up. But anyway, you might, Doug's saying go out on the lawn. That's a better choice. But that wardrobe, that magic in the other side of the wardrobe, it's the story about a place where it's always winter, but never Christmas. You might remember that line. It's a story about a white witch who is harsh and cruel and uses power and manipulation to control the people of Narnia. And it's a story, of course, about Aslan. Aslan, who is the big, larger-than-life lion with that huge golden mane, who runs wild, who it is said, is he safe? Oh no, Aslan's not safe, but Aslan is good. It's a story full of imagination. It's a story with little kids in it. Little kids named Susan and Lucy, Peter and Edmund. Little kids who are curious, like Lucy. Little kids who are troublemakers, like Edmund. And it's a story about how Edmund gets in trouble in Narnia. It's a story about how Edmund breaks the rules in Narnia and becomes beholden, enslaved to the White Witch. It's a story about a stone table. You remember that part? The stone table that sits on a hill. It's a story about that stone table and some magic that allows the White Witch to lay claim to Edmund's life for breaking the rules. It's a story about how Aslan intervenes, how Aslan gives his own life for Edmund, even though Aslan didn't have anything to do with Edmund's mistake. It's a story about how Aslan dies on that stone table. After he is bound, after he is dragged through the crowd of raving creatures, after his mane is shaved from his neck. And Lucy and Susan watch from a distance as this happens. And then Lucy and Susan, they creep a little closer as the crowd dies down, and they find Aslan there, and they weep next to his body. And they cry, and they keep watch through the night. And then the sun starts to come up in the east. And if you reread the story, Lucy and Susan get transfixed by the sun. They watch it come up. There's something different about the light of the sun now. It comes up and it touches the land of Narnia, and something different is in the land too. And Lucy and Susan are so captivated by the sunrise that when they finally turn around, they realize that Aslan is gone. That Aslan is no longer laying on the stone table, and the stone table is cracked from end to end. Just about the time that they reach out to touch that crack in that table, Aslan appears. Golden mane, glistening in the sunlight. Susan says, You're not a, and she can't get the word out, the word ghost. You're not a, she stammers, and Aslan stoops down and licks her forehead. And he says, "Do I look like it to you?" "Oh, you're for real. You're real. Oh, Aslan," they cry, and fling their arms around him and kiss him and cry for joy. Then Aslan tells the girls about that crack in that table. That crack that the White Witch knew well. So you see, the White Witch knew of the deep magic from the dawn of time that said that Edmund was guilty. Edmund had broken the rules of Narnia, and Edmund was hers. But, Aslan says, the White Witch didn't know anything about the deeper magic from before the dawn of time. A magic that breaks stone tables. A magic that sets Edmund free. A magic that says when a willing victim who had committed no treachery was killed in a traitor's place, the table would crack. And death, and this is the best line in the book, and death itself would begin to run backward. Are you excited about your homework yet? I hope you are. Each Easter, each year, sometime during this period, I try to read this story again. I try to take the time to savor it. It's not very long. It's not very hard, but it sure says a lot about Easter. Death starts to work backward. I tell you all that this morning to tell you that on Easter Sunday, the story we hear in Narnia is the story that we also hear in the gospel. Here at First Baptist Church, we have been, as Christy pointed out, living that story for several weeks and months. You see, that story began all the way back in November. The last part of November, that story began when we decked the halls here. And we began to listen to the voices of the prophets. And we began to anticipate the birth of a baby. That story began there, and it went all the way to Come and Go Communion on Christmas Eve. It paused there. And then this last year, we actually got to do something that we only get to do every once in a while, which was have Christmas church, Christmas Day worship. And we celebrated the birth of that little baby. Advent went, Christmas came, the Magi, the shepherds. Then we watched that baby grow up. That baby grew up. First, there was that incident in the temple and him kind of mouthing off to his mama. And, we said you shouldn't do that if you're a child in the room. Always do what your mama says. But he grows up. Then he gets baptized. You remember that Sunday? That one was in January. And then another Sunday comes and he starts calling disciples. He starts his ministry. Then that Sunday came when he set his face toward Jerusalem. That Sunday was Ash Wednesday. That Sunday was when the white turned to dark purple. That Sunday is when the shadows of Lent started to grow longer and longer, until finally we processed in, waving palm branches under that shadow. Until finally we gathered in the downstairs room around the table for the Last Supper under that shadow, until finally we gathered up here in this room under that shadow, until finally Good Friday came, and we winced and we hurt as Good Friday came and Good Friday went. And Saturday is so silent, kind of like a tomb. And you know, it's a miracle. It's always a miracle that Easter comes again, that Easter shows up again, that we get to be here in white with lilies and brass again and celebrate God's great story, the redemption of all creation. You see, what I love about doing church here is that we take the story and we weave it through our own timeline. We make what would otherwise be the flat passage of time, well, we make it familiar. We make it holy. And today we celebrate. Today we celebrate and we say, Christ is risen, alleluia. And alleluia, and alleluia. That's three. In case you were paying attention, maybe you nodded off, that's three. We say that on this day, God redeemed all the world. All the world. All the people of the world. On Friday, Jesus cried out in agony from the cross. As Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, watch from a distance, kind of like Susan and Lucy. On Saturday, we are told that those two people are sitting next to the tomb, just like Susan and Lucy. And on Sunday, we are told that with great fear and great excitement, they run. They run to tell the disciples the good news that they have heard. And Jesus goes with them. And they fall down at his feet and they worship him, the risen Christ. That is the resurrection story. That is what you came here today to hear told again. But there is another resurrection afoot. I've called it the other resurrection. When Jack Pennington, God bless him, came in this morning, he said, that's an interesting sermon title. I said, I hope so. The other resurrection, of course, is yours. Don't miss that part of the story. Don't look past Mary Magdalene or Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, as they grow bolder, as they walk closer, as they fall down and sing Alleluia, Alleluia at Jesus' feet. You see, they are the placeholder for you. The other resurrection in this story is the resurrection of chalk. The other resurrection is the resurrection of John. The other resurrection is the resurrection of Norma, of Trish, of Evan, of Eric, of Beth, of Jim, of Bill. The other resurrection in this story is yours. Not in some distant place. That's not what's in the Bible. But right here, right now, this very day. The stone table has been broken. Jesus of Nazareth, the light of the world, is raised. And the light shows up in each one of you if you will just open your hearts to it. You know, there are powers, there are principalities, there are illnesses and diseases. There is economic hardship and lack of jobs. There is abuse and warmongery. There are powerful and arrogant people in the world. Those people, they know of the deep magic from the dawn of time that allows them to punish the rule breakers on the stone table. But what they don't know about, the good news of the gospel that they miss, is that there is a deeper magic from before the dawn of time. And it says, when someone who has no blame lays down their life in place of one who has broken the rules, well, death runs backward. Not tomorrow, today. Go and tell folks what you saw at the tomb. Amen. At First Baptist Church, when we gather for worship, when we sing and hear music and pray and hear sermon, an invitation is always extended. This invitation is for all of you to ponder the mysteries of the faith, but also to pray, to join this church if you are led to do so, or maybe something else that only your heart knows. Let's stand. Let's sing together.
Christians and
And now as you prepare to go from this place, and if you're preparing to go to the Easter egg hunt, you remember you go out the back door, down the steps, and the outside door right to your left. Bridget will be there. She's ready to run. As you prepare to go from this place, receive this benediction, this good word. Depart now in the fellowship of God the Creator. And as you go, remember, by the grace of God, you were born into this world. By the strength of God, you have been kept all the day long, even until this very hour. And by the love of God best revealed in the face, the life, the death, the resurrection of Jesus, you are being redeemed. Amen.